Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first ever installment of South of the Mouth Sports Podcast. I am your host, Jeremiah. This is my co-host, Brandon. We are brothers. We are both from the great state of Alabama. We are excited, super excited to bring you college football. Now, if this is like everybody else's first time, we are here to just let you know what's going on in the world of college football. As you can tell, if you look behind me, you can see. If you look on my head, you can see. If you look behind Brandon, you can see we are Alabama football fans. With all that to say, we are going to come from an unbiased place. We just want to give you sports. We want to talk about sports. We both love sports. But with that being said, it's not just our primary focus is going to be college football. Moving forward, we are going to hit college basketball. We're going to talk about the NBA because we both love basketball as well. We're also going to hit NFL stuff here and there. We may even talk about baseball. Who knows? But yeah, so jumping into this first ever installment, Brendan, let's talk about that game we saw Saturday.
Which
Alabama,
one?
Miami. Alabama versus Miami.
Well, naturally, we got to talk about Alabama first.
Exactly. Look, let me tell you, coming into this season, there was so much talk about, is Alabama going to be the same Alabama team we seen last year? That kid, Mac Jones, going top 15 to the New England Patriots. We had Najee Harris leave. We had Devontae Smith leave, the Heisman Trophy winner. We also lost Jalen Waddle in the first round. The last 4 years, we've seen several of our top-tier players coming from Jalen to Tua to like I said, Devontae and Jalen. We've seen so many people leave in the first round of the NFL draft. Is Alabama going to be able to be the Alabama of old?
Man, I'm going to tell you, I was super skeptical about the offense. Now, ever since we wrapped up the champion, ever since Alabama wrapped up the championship against Ohio State, everything that most of the analysts have talked about from that date has been Alabama's defense is set to be great. So that's been expected. The play of the defense was expected, and they showed up and showed out. What I think took everybody by surprise was, number one, that young quarterback. I mean, we knew he was going to be good. Everybody expected him to be good. But, man, he was really good. And just the whole package with that team after losing so many players to the NFL and, whatever else. Got a lot of, other than Mechie and Bolden and a few maybe linemen and stuff, Billingsley got a little bit of playing time, but he didn't even start. Cameron Latu had a big game. I don't think anybody was expecting Alabama's offense to be that good right out of the gate, especially with what they lost. So, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised. And I'm sure a lot of, people who don't like Alabama are like, oh no, not again.
Not this team.
Yeah.
To give you numbers, Bryce Young, the quarterback for the University of Alabama, 27 for 38, 344 yards and 4 touchdowns. That is the most touchdowns ever thrown by a debuting Alabama quarterback.
Right.
Record set in his first ever game.
Most yards too.
Most yards. The dude is
those are both first time starter records.
That first touchdown after like we come out and Bama's looking like they might be turning the ball over right here. He throws a dime to John Mechie across the middle by himself. Mechie takes it to the house. A little bit skeptical on that because I think his foot might have been out of bounds. He might have reached over the.
That was a little close, yeah. And the angle is hard to tell. It's one of those where,
but
with a different angle, may have shown that his foot was out before the line crossed, and it's one of the. It has to be irrefutable evidence, and I just don't think they had it with the camera angles. But like you said, it was hard to tell. It's close though, so close.
Now, I will say that it was De'Aaron King, the quarterback from the University of Miami, and their head coach, Manny Diaz. It was their fault. And here's why I say that. Before the game, they both guaranteed that the game in Atlanta would not be close, that Miami was going to win.
Yeah.
They got half of that prediction correct. Alabama steamrolled.
I was going to say
Steamrolled Miami.
they were right. It wasn't close.
It was 44-13 victory for the University of Alabama.
Yeah, this is such a historical in the Saban era, a common occurrence. People trash talk Alabama. This is what happens. You know, happened to Bo Nix last year. You know, remember Bo Nix started talking trash before they played. And I understand, like, you're not supposed to say, oh yeah, Alabama's going to beat the crap out of us. But it's one thing to have confidence in yourself and your team and say, hey, we're going to go out there and give it our all. We know this is a great team. And, you know, yeah, we expect to be on top at the end of the game. That's one thing. But to go out and just be like, yeah, we're going to dominate and kill them. You don't do that.
It's just not smart.
No, especially when you know who you're going up against. And this team has the greatest active coach in college football probably of all time, and top of the line talent across the board. Their third string could beat most other college teams. You know,
the third quarterback for the University of Alabama could go probably anywhere and start. I wouldn't say anywhere, but he could go to most colleges in the United States and probably start anywhere.
Jalen Milroe had scholarships from so many places. It was unreal.
The kid's not bad. Like he's going to be a great quarterback moving forward. You know, Paul Tyson came in through a 10-yard dime.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, the biggest story was the Jaleel Billingsley, Cameron Latu thing. You made a mention of it earlier. We were both kind of shocked by that because Jaleel Billingsley had a year last year.
Oh, yeah.
He was on coming into the college football season in 2020, breaks out. You know, he didn't have a super entirely spectacular year, but for a tight end in the Alabama offense, he had a good year.
Yeah.
You know, I think he had 4 or 5 touchdowns by the end of the year. I think it was just over 200 and something rushing yards, 300 and something rushing yards. I should have done my research, but Jaleel Billingsley was like top of the boards for us moving forward from what I've seen. You know, we had
you're expecting him to be the starter,
and then out of nowhere, this defensive end prospect Cameron Latu comes in, and in his debut, his first 2 catches he ever made for the University of Alabama as a starter was a touchdown.
Yeah, first two catches, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, I noticed as I was watching the game that the announcers made mention that Billingsley was kind of in a punishment mode from Saban, and that was why he didn't get the start. That Saban was making a point to him, hey, you still have to follow the rules no matter how talented you are, or something along those lines. And I don't know, I tried to find it. I tried to find out what the deal was, but you know how Saban is, all that stuff kind of stays under wraps. But obviously there's something he's not following the program or the process or whatever. And Nick Saban's like, hey man, I don't care how good you are, you'll sit. So he finally got to come in the second half, and you know, he looked as good as he has ever looked. But hopefully seeing somebody start above him and catch 2 touchdown passes, I mean, he couldn't have played out any better, you know, for Nick Saban.
Look, let me tell you, there was another person that, you know, I forgot that I said that Cameron Latu was the one that surprised me, but this guy really surprised me. And then we'll talk a little bit about Miami and you know, moving forward for Miami. I think they have a really good, solid chance moving forward in the ACC.
Yeah.
But Jamison Williams, the Ohio State transfer,
man,
4 receptions, 126 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Had a 94-yard touchdown reception.
And it says more about how good the receiving core is at Ohio State that he couldn't break into that, and not so much about his talent, but like, he is a great receiver. But you know, you got Olave at Ohio State, and I can't remember the second, the big target there. Man, that receiving room at Ohio State is something else.
Real.
I mean,
I don't.
Stroud has some targets to throw to out there, for sure. But I'll be honest, I'm glad to see him. You know?
He had a phenomenal game. I will say, like, Miami moving forward, they're not bad.
Right.
Like, it's not a fact that they just came in and got steamrolled. I think Alabama was ready to beat anybody. I don't think you could have put. I think you could have put any team. You could have put Clemson. You could have put Ohio State. You could have literally put any of the top teams in the country up against that Alabama team. Saban just had those boys ready. Now, Manny Diaz is a phenomenal coach.
Yeah,
And I will say,
definitely.
bottom of my heart, the dude has his boys on fire. They're
Right,
going to come out of this with a chip on their shoulder for the rest
right.
of the season.
And the only team, the only ACC, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but the only ACC team that I watched that I thought even looked better than Miami was Florida State.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
that's
think I don't
including
think Clemson looked better than Miami. You know,
no.
And Miami just could not move the ball on that defense. And I mean, Derek King did the best he could with what the defense was giving him. It wasn't that their offense even played bad. It's just that defense was everywhere.
Alabama had 73 total tackles. They had 25 solo tackles. That means more than half of their tackles were gang tackles, where people swarming to the ball, was everybody going for everybody or going for it. They have 4 total sacks and 7 tackles for loss. That Alabama defense was just unreal. It was smothering. It was taking over. But Miami had some big moments where their defense really, really smothered Alabama. You know, and I say that because, like, closer to the end of the game, they started making it look like a game. They
Yeah.
started getting the team. They started building it up. And Bama was kind of like a little bit tired, a little bit shaky at the end of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think moving forward that Miami has a really good shot as long as this doesn't become the game that dictates their season, you know? As long as they take from this, hey, what can we learn? Where can we improve? And realize that every team that they face is not an Alabama. You know,
Yeah.
like they're completely capable of winning the rest of their season now if they take the talent that they have and use it to their best ability.